Okay, Dave. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a REST endpoint. Just right here. SN5. That's essentially a to-do app. So let's see. This is what we're going to do. We are going to make a REST or basically we'll just say an HTTP endpoint. REST has, we could explain that later, but there's going to be list, and it's going to list all your to-dos. There's going to be delete, and with that you're going to have to pass a to-do ID into it. There's going to be a create, and with that you're going to pass an object that has an ID. It's going to have an ID, the text of it, and then the status, whether it's toggled or not toggled. And then the final one is we're going to have one that says toggle. And you're going to have to pass the to-do ID into that. So let's set this up. We're just going to steal from a previous lesson. We're going to RTS config lesson 5 npm init -y node, and we're going to add one called Fastify. It's an HTTP server. We're not going to do that for the first one. Matter of fact, going back to what we're doing today is we're going to implement this same thing first. We're going to do it with no libraries. Next, we're going to do it with a library, Fastify, and this is all in memory. And then the final thing with database. Now, we're not going to use a relational database or anything tricky. We're just going to do a file system right, which you wouldn't traditionally think of as a database, but in the old days, that's what a database was. You wrote files. And honestly, database is still the same thing. There's a lot more complicated things on top of it. So let's get started here. So anyways, TS watch. I'm gonna make a little alias here. Oh, what is that blasted? Oh, that's fine. Which one is like null where it keeps the stuff? That's fine. What's new folder, source? Let's call it server.ts. And let's just see if this is working. RTS watch. Oops, I'm gonna do that. That's good. Actually, I'm going to watch, and we'll just run it here. So I'm going to node this server JS. Boom. So that's working. So I've asked ChatGPT to generate me a vanilla HTTP server. I need to tweak it a little bit here since it's doing import HTTP from HTTP and start as, yep. And okay, so I asked it to generate a basic server. Let's look at this here. And there's an easy way of doing this. So when the data comes in, so basically by default, the low-level library that Node provides, this is a Node library. The service request comes in. Trying to think how to explain this to you. We actually don't ever do what we're doing here, but I'm trying to illustrate what's going on at the lower level. We're going to use a library to do a lot of this stuff. This is what it's actually doing. And basically when the data comes in, when the request comes in, it chunks the data up, and so what happens is essentially it's setting up a listener. It says, okay, when data comes in little chunks, let's go ahead and keep appending it to to this variable here. Because what happens is, suppose someone posted a really big file or a lot of text that you're posting to the server or sending to the server. Don't worry about the word post yet. And the server wants to process it in little chunks or little smaller pieces. And now in this case, we're going to be just sending small amounts of data, like an ID here and there. So it's probably just going to do it all in one chunk. But with the lower level API, you have to deal with dealing with the data in little chunks. Anyway, so the request comes into the server. It gathers all the data in this. It takes all the chunks and puts it together. That's what we're doing here. And then when we get to the end of all that, at this point, this is when we're ready to essentially handle it. So in HTTP, when they originally set it up, they basically said, well, let's go ahead and identify URLs by two things. One of them is the URL, and the other one, it's essentially a header. And we'll go ahead and we'll look at the request itself, where it can be a get, a post, delete, I think it's update. I can't remember them all. The point is, they were adding this second identifier, as it were, and these different things were supposed to be used for different things, right? So get is obviously you're getting data. So if you go to google.com or some other website, your browser by default is going to use a get. Post is when you're supposed to be sending up data, delete, etc. It's an interesting idea. I mean, if I could go back, I don't know if I would do it that way, but it's fine. So anyway, the point is, we're just going to listen to the request method. If the request has the method of post, then we're going to basically look at, well, what's the URL? And then if it's list, we're going to parse it out. We're going to write the content header on the response saying, hey, this content type is JSON. Then we're going to send back this JavaScript object, which we're going to convert to JSON, and then we'll send it. So let's just see if this works. I actually haven't tested this. Okay, we're running on port 3000. Insomnia. Now, one thing I'm going to show you here is if we go to localhost 3000, the method is not allowed. Let's go here. Is that what they say? Yeah. So you can see that we're hitting this else, right? Like right now, we're only handling this. Let's just for fun. Let's go ahead and if let's add the get one. If get, and we'll say else if. Okay, and then we'll say all we're going to do is we're going to response, and this says the content type is JSON, and we're actually just going to respond with request.url. Here we'll say URL, or say URL request.url. And say we're just going to return them the URL that they sent. So I go here. Now it should work this time. Yes, and great. And saying the URL is / I could do a cool cat. The URL I'm saying is cool cat. Let's do this in Insomnia later. Oh man, use a local scratchpad. There we go. Yeah. So here's a REST client. Let's make a new request. 1000. We send it, and let's add so we're doing get right now. And let's go ahead and look at the raw timeline. So what happens is HTTP, it is you can think of it mostly as a text protocol. So this is what it's actually sending a little packet with this data to the server. you can see it's saying, okay, I'm gonna get one, and and the way that this is set up, it's convention, right? So the HTTP protocol defines how you're supposed to do this. Let's go ahead and add cool cat, and you can see there's the HTTP type. There's the URL. It's saying that I'm using that this specification is HTTP 1.1. The host, Insomnia. So the user agent for something like Chrome, this would say Chrome something. And it says we accept everything back. Let's go and change this to a post, and we'll send it. And let's see here. So the post ones we're supporting are lists. So let's do list here. List. And then let's go to return nothing, no headers. Right data. Oh, we killed something. Killed the server. Killed the server. Oh, we killed the server again. Great. Well, this means there's clearly a bug here somewhere. Oh, what's happening is in this thing, it's expecting us to send some data to it. So let's send some data. Let's send some data, JSON. We're just going to do hello world. Let's restart the server. Perfect. So you can see that it is list data received. Okay, and it's printing it to the server. Okay, so you can see that, let's go back to the raw, because like I said, we're trying to understand how this is working. So what we're sending to the server is first, here's the HTTP headers, where, you know, all those pieces. And then here is the body of our message. And it is sending back these headers to us. It's saying, you know, we're turning you the application.json. You know, so that was the header we set right here. A few other things automatically appended, and then it sends the data back. In this case, it's sending back JSON. The list data was received. Anyway, this is a painful way of making endpoints, but we're gonna make it work for now. So list, we're not actually now just for simplicity, we're just gonna use post for everything. So let's do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our in-memory database const to-do list, and we're going to say that type is text. We'll say ID. To-do has text, and then status we'll say we'll just say true or false if it toggled. Okay, so we have an empty to-do list. So all we're going to do for this endpoint is we're actually just going to return, our list, to-do list. So send this again, send it. Did I want here? And world is sending us back hello world. Oh, that's what we're sending. Hello down. Source code. Yeah. So it's sending us back an empty list, right? Because we haven't added anything to that. So let's go ahead and add a create endpoint, and we're just going to say that. Okay. So let's see here. Const new item. But by default, the data comes back as a string. string. Now you typically do data checking at this point. We're not going to do that. So all we're going to do is to-do list dot push new item, and we're going to do that. Save it. And typically something like this, you'd return the new item again, but it's fine. We're just going to return the new item. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's restart this again. New server. So this is we're going to rename this one. This is our list. Let's go ahead and create let's say create. And on this create one, we're going to go to create, and this is where we're going to send, this is where we need to follow so we're going to say ID is, we're just going to do this all manually. One, you know what, we're actually not going to do, yeah, sure, let's do ID for now, we'll do it manually. Text, go to store, and then toggled, JSON. True. We'll say false. It's not toggled yet. So let's go here. So if we go to the list right now, and sec here, so we don't need this anymore. I say no body. So if we send this, the list is empty. If we now go to create, we're going to send this. Server didn't crash. That's good. Now if we go back to list and we send it, you can see that we now have a to-do. Let's go back to here and we'll add a second one. Have lunch. I'm going to send it. Go to our list one. See that we're getting both of them back. Great. So let's go on to the next ones here. So we're going to create a new one called toggle. And what we're going to say is you have to send an object that has, this is going to be, just call it temp1, it doesn't matter. Parse data, and let's make that endpoint first. So we're going to do create. We're going to say toggle. And what you have to do is you have to send the ID of the one you want to toggle. So in this case, I'd want to toggle number 2. The toggle. And so what this will do, we're going to do to-do list equals to-do list dot map. We'll say item. So let's go there. We're just going to needs to be let so we can update it. We're just going to write over it. So we're going to map in a system array. So we're going to map through it, and for each one, we can either return it as is. This would be happy. But what we're going to do is if t1.id equals item.id, we're basically going to return a new item with its toggled. So we're going to say, okay, let's create a new item. It's going to be item.id. So we'll say we'll go back to ID is item.id. Text won't change, item.text. But toggled, toggled or toggled? Toggled is going to change. We're going to say toggled equals item.toggled. But opposite of what it is. Now, if it doesn't match this, we're just going to return the item. So, let's try this. And we're just going to return an empty object for now. So let's start our server. Meeting here in a minute or two. So we restarted the server and says it's all in memory. We're empty again. So let's go and create an item. Toggled will do ID of 2. See that we have it there, and you can see toggled equals false. If we go to toggle now and we send ID 2, then we look at the list again, you can see that it's now true. We toggled it. Let's toggle it back. So we're going to toggle that. Now it's false again. So I think we'll leave it at that. I got to hop on a meeting here in a moment, but yeah, this is kind of the first pass. We haven't done deleted, but we'll do that after.